your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters Mason Stiver,
Hey, Mike.
Tony Groves,
Good evening, fellas.
David Hall,
Hello, guys.
Greg Hectus.
What up, boys?
Hey, welcome, guys. All right, well, no guests tonight, but we have a ton of topics, especially hardware. But before we get into the topics, let's talk about iRacers Lounge does sponsor the Old Bastards Racing League Monday Night ARCA Series. They had an exciting race at Bristol with 32 cars starting the event, with Michael Schuer getting the pole. Doug Conroe gained 26 positions to win the hard charger. ARCA professional driver Kevin Pearson led 42 laps, sustaining 11 lead changes to win by 1.22 seconds over Jeff Gilmore, with Texan Joel Kilborn finishing third. 6 drivers are competing in the next playoff round at Lucas Oil Raceway next week for a shot at the Final Four, which will be at USA on November 26th. Professional podcaster Tony Groves had a great race at Bristol, starting 15th and finishing 12th on the lead lap. Chris Scales had issues, finishing 25th.
Yeah, holy cow! I couldn't believe I finished the race, let alone, on the lead lap. Like I said last week, I've never raced Bristol before, and I was extremely nervous going in. But after say about 20 minutes, a half an hour of practicing, I actually kind of felt at home there. The car was working really well for me going around the track, and obviously I wasn't the fastest, nowhere near, but I was able to keep the car fairly clean. I would have had no incident points either, but I ended up getting I gotta believe it was a bit of net code, because I could have swore I missed that wreck, but it tagged me for a 4X anyhow. But super happy with the with my run. Man, I was flying high that night. Just short tracks are definitely not my thing, but I'm starting to have a lot of fun with them, especially with these guys here.
Yeah, and I know you were concerned about the going into that track, but it sounds like a good run, so good deal. Good deal.
Where do they race next, Tony?
Next is Lucas Oil Raceway.
Which is IRP.
Yeah, that's the one.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the Indianapolis track. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Chris and I have done some racing in the trucks on that track. I always forget about it, but as soon as I load it up, I'm like, oh yeah, this place. And I really like that track, so I hope to have a good finish there next week.
Yeah, I haven't run that in a long time. My memories of it was when it first came out, people were riding the fence and going faster than you could if you didn't ride the fence. And they finally made it where you couldn't do that somehow. They made a change to it. All right, well, let's jump into topics. Mason Stiver, what do you got first?
All right, first up, we have an MRN radio host on iRacing. It is Mike Bagley, the Bagman. He was racing at Talladega in the Cup cars, and he had a nice little wreck. He spun the leader. It's posted on Twitter, and he said he turned in by accident, and you could see his telemetry there. He was out of the gas a little bit, but still hooked him. So I think it's pretty awesome that we got some MRN radio hosts on iRacing.
Yeah, how about that? You never knew that they actually drove, huh? I suppose it's not a big stretch, but
It'd be really interesting to see how he would announce one of these races, like get in with Rudy or something and do one of those announcing. Because he's really good on MRN.
that would be cool if MRN did like the Peak series and they announced it like a real NASCAR race.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I was reading the comments down there, and the Super Speedway series that I'm in invited him to come race, and he said he might do that.
Nice. Yeah, I have no idea that he was on iRacing, but he shows a picture of the incident at Talladega in the corners. He's in second on the bottom. The leader's ahead of him sideways, and he somehow got the leader turned, and he did hashtag my bad.
This is his second time actually around iRacing. Um, I'm quite an MRN fan in the mornings. Well, actually, Sirius XM radio. He's on the morning drive there with Pete Pistone, and yeah, he talks about it sometimes even on the show there.
Yeah. Well, all right, Bagman. We'll see you on the track. Tony Groves, what's next?
It's got Mazda's virtual to reality driver Glenn McGee. Yeah, I did say that right. Glenn McGee put up a tweet saying he'll be racing in the 2018 Global Mazda MX-5 Cup Challenge, fighting for $80,000 with iRacing. Looked like it was his main sponsor right on the hood.
Yeah, main sponsor.
Yeah, so he's going to be going up against pro champs Andy Lally. Now, did this race already happen? Because we got some information here that he placed in top 10.
Yes, it was November 10th, I believe.
Okay. Boy. Yeah, so he made top 10 after a shift mistake on lap 1 and had to come through the pack.
The paint looks good. I mean, the sponsor and whatnot, and it's cool to see iRacing actually sponsoring him in this event. So cool.
It's good exposure. Those cars are really popular on here.
Yep.
Yeah, be such a cool experience to do that, for sure.
Yep. All right, David Hall, what you got next?
So we talked about it last week, but yes, the Black Friday sales are still out. 50% off for new members, 30% off for current members. And they're going to be doing some more promos towards the end of the year. Somebody mentioned that there was an iRacer complaining that a Cyber Monday deal for $100 credit for $75 came out on Cyber Monday, and so they're waiting until the last second. But if you do the math, that's actually $5 less savings. But either way, I guess some people like having a little bit more freedom on what they spend it on rather than just the subscription. Also, Doug Hunt Jr., a member of iRacing staff, put out a notice that there won't be any double dipping on the deals. So if you take the subscription renewal, you won't be able to do the Cyber Monday deal if they do one.
Okay.
Why would they make that decision where you can double dip? Because if they do that Cyber Monday deal, it's a different thing. They're kind of just taking their money out of their own pockets, aren't they?
I think what happened before, what the guy in the forum post was saying is, if you bought the deal on Monday where you spent $75 and they gave you $100 of credit, then you could turn around and take that $100 credit and get the 2-year renewal promo for 30% off as well. And so Doug Hunt is saying, nope, you won't be able to do that this year, so don't even try it.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Well, could that also be that they're not going to have that right at Cyber Monday?
Well, that's the other way to read this, is there isn't going to be a deal on Cyber Monday, and that's why Doug Hunt is saying, don't wait, just do it now.
When's the...
And the deal does close on Sunday, not Monday.
Okay. Well, there you go. So then it makes it impossible if it closes on Sunday, so there's no overlap. So apparently there was an overlap in the previous years and there was that loophole, but not anymore. All right, Greg, you're next.
Christopher Bell is on iRacing again. So it looks like he's been preparing himself for his championship weekend, I guess, for Miami. So he's been practicing on the track, and it's really good to see him consistently posting, these things. Every week he's got something. And, I watched the last race at Phoenix there that he did. That was a really good race and a strategic race by him to get that win, to move on. So, I'll be cheering for him for the Xfinity. He's been doing a hell of a job this year.
Yeah, I'm cheering for him too, and He's a big promoter of iRacing. Obviously, he's using it. You got to wonder: is he on the payroll? Is that why he's tweeting once a week about it? Is there some kind of contract in place? Is there some kind of sponsorship? I don't think so. I mean, if you read between the lines, we've been watching this all year. I think he does it because he's telling us the truth. I mean, he's actually spending his evenings, running laps, trying to get ready for this championship.
Well, isn't his dirt midget sponsored by iRacing?
Well, that's true. Maybe that's part of it.
And in the comment section there, Kyle Larson was responding to him saying, "Just put it on the boards like you did when you made the Outlaws look silly at Eldora." So that's pretty cool.
Burn. All right, very good. I got the next one. Uh, iRacing and R&R Racewear have announced a huge sale. All the iRacing merchandise will be 20% off starting Tuesday the 13th, and the sale will run until midnight the 18th, which is Sunday. Okay, and so the website is r-rracewear.com. And so when you go to that website, you'll see that we've talked about this before. They have a hoodies, t-shirts, dirt style, regular iRacing style, hats, koozies, bumper sticker, or license plate cover, that kind of thing.
Kind of like that trucker hat they have there, the blue one. It's a really nice hat.
Yeah, I do like the trucker hat. Yes, $20.
Yeah, this stuff looks really cool. I'm digging their collection.
The code for the 20% off is iRacing20, all one word, 20 on the end.
It's a good deal.
It is. So if you guys ever wanted iRacing merchandise, Black Friday, I think that'll be a theme going throughout the podcast. Tony Groves, what's next?
Well, looks like iRacing has been saving lives. Go. Yes, Tyler Hudson commented on a post by Tim Rangers saying how iRacing helped him with reaction time to drive through a flood.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. We've heard about these kind of things before on the podcast where somebody says, I was going to run off the road and I didn't because of my skills I've developed, in the sim. And this is another such post. And so it's always cool to see these stories. In this case, it was a damp, dark road, a long, gentle left bend between a parking lot and a bright stoplight about 600 yards away. I had looked all the way to the stoplight going into the darkness, all clear. I then glanced at the side view to the car behind, just a quick check of position. I heard my daughter take a very sharp breath, that sound of, oh shit. As soon as my eyes shifted back, there was a deer, maybe 30 feet away and closing fast. Just as I was noticing that I was strolling very casually, my 9 o'clock hand was already starting for the other lane. I haven't even turned my face back yet. And so he goes on to say that he switched lanes quickly without turning the car and was able to not hit the deer.
Now this begs the question, I've seen a lot of these stories now. Have any of you guys had any, feel that it's made your reaction time behind the wheel better?
Yeah, especially I had a situation where I almost missed an exit going down a freeway in Tennessee, and it was one of those 270-degree turn, slow down to 25-mile an exits, and I had it way too fast, but I knew not to slam on the brakes and just kind of trail brake actually, and keep it under control, and made the turn safely.
Yeah, I think it's taught me to look ahead more and take in, a further sight picture that's farther away of cars, not just directly in front of you, but ahead of them too.
Yeah, this morning on the way to work on the interstate, they had a cop pulled off to the side, so everyone's merging into the left lane, and just not staying on the person in front of me, not staying so close, and looking ahead was definitely important.
Mine's actually the opposite. My real life driving experiences actually helped me out on iRacing, especially for wreck avoidance.
There you
Well,
go.
that's because you drive in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started riding motorcycles when I was, 18, and then started driving truck 10, 10 or so years ago, and go to skid school and all that fun stuff. By the way, I suggest for anybody driving a rig to do the skid school. It, you learn a lot, and I had a freaking blast.
I second that. I did that same thing. It is a time and a half just to do that skid. Just that it's worth all the money for it too.
Oh yeah, it saved my life
We
a
just
few times.
Here in the South, we just whenever there's an ice storm, we go find a big parking lot and just do donuts.
Fun. Can't do that here in Phoenix, but all right, David Hall, you're next. This is a timely one for you because you just got a new router.
Yeah, I remember y'all saying something about the router, but my old Netgear had constantly been dropping the Wi-Fi signal. It was a very old router. So I went and looked at Best Buy at the different options and just decided to go ahead and go with Netgear again. I ran a race earlier in NIS and made it to 20 laps to go with no problems. And it seems to be running fine for me. But the post is concerning Netgear's router issues. They're still working on it. They think it might have something to do with the DD-WRT firmware. And
Well, actually,
they're
no,
hoping to
that's
fix
the
the issue
fix.
soon.
That's actually the fix is to install that firmware.
Ah, okay. I see.
And
Yeah, possibly. I didn't read it very clearly. Possibly the DDR-WRT will help fix the issues. And on the actual post, the guy throws out some more technical babble about network uh, nomenclature that's a little over my head. Um, but it's anecdotal, but mine works.
yeah, and again, it's not all Netgear routers. It's only specific ones and whatnot. But there has been people apparently that have installed DDWRT. Now, if you don't know what that is, Google DDWRT, and what it is it's a third-party open source firmware for routers. And so, several years ago, there was a lot of distrust in the router community because of spyware, the government spying and this and that. And so, this software developed as a response to that. And so, what you do is you just flash these routers with this other firmware that's open source, and then you know what you're dealing with. You know you're not being spied on and whatnot. So anyway, apparently people have done that and installed DDWRT onto some Netgear routers that were having the problem, and it fixed the problem. So it has something to do with Netgear's software firmware that they're running on these routers. And so anyway, it's good to hear that yours is working.
Yeah, I didn't toss out the old one just in case something weird happened.
Yep. All right, Greg, you're next.
Actually, Mike, do you want to take this one here because you know more about this Australian server stuff than?
Well, no, I meant the next one. Hosted
Oh,
sessions.
sorry. Never mind. I went too far. Sorry. So hosted sessions. Um, I guess it's talking about the hosted sessions. Didn't I skipped this one? I'm sorry, guys.
Well, what this one is it's just a interesting tidbit from Tyler Hudson that says the sporting code is in effect if you're in a hosted server, and that you can be protested in a hosted server. The only way you can't be protested is if that hosted server specifically states the sporting code is not in effect. Now, if it doesn't say that in the description of the hosted server, then you can be protested in a hosted server regardless of who's hosting it and whatnot.
Actually, password protected also automatically disables the sporting code.
There you go.
That's weird because you should still be, even if it was password protected, that's just to keep, the certain people you want in there. It still should be. But I guess you're wanting certain people to be in it. You're giving out that password. You're trusting them, I guess.
Well, and you
And
have the
if you're giving
decision to
your
remove them too.
Yeah, if you're giving out your own password, that meant you're in position to police it because you can ban them yourselves.
So yeah, I didn't know if everybody knew that. I think a lot of people assume that you can only get protested from official racing, but you can in hosted as well. I'll take this next one. Yeah, the Australian server issues. It's not really Australian server issue. It should be called the communication path between Australia and our new data hub or data center in Boston. And as we talked about in previous weeks, there's a communication problem because the ISP that Australia uses, um, it doesn't communicate very well with the ISP that we're using in the United States. So that's what it boils down to. And this new information this week is Telstra has not responded to our ISP's inquiries about their odd routing advertisement for that IP block. Our ISP will not accept transit from the intermediate provider that happens to avoid the hairpin bottleneck that is inflicting the additional latency, as that provider is not of a high enough quality. The IP block that we use comes from our ISP, and accepting transit through that immediate provider will negatively impact our ISP's other customers that are in that same IP block. And so that's the problem is that provider over there is not a high enough quality that they'll route through them or something like that. And so here's what we're going to do about it, says iRacing. We're in the process of trying to obtain our own IP block. Reading ahead, I'm going to paraphrase here. And so we have to buy those on the open market because those blocks are no longer available. But once we have our own IP space, our ISP is willing to try to make the network changes that would allow us to accept transit from that other provider. And so the thing on the Australian side isn't going to change, it sounds like. And so the fix is, we're going to find our own public IPs and we're going to own those. And then our ISP is going to change their rules that affect that entire IP block that we're going to purchase with hard cold cash. And then it'll all work. And so they're going through a lot to fix this problem. They're actually spending money on it.
That's what I was gonna say. You should definitely be feeling the love from iRacing if you heard that, and think that you're having trouble.
Yeah, if you're in Australia and you're listening to this, yeah, they're trying. Obviously, they're trying real hard. They're coming up with some very unique ideas to fix the problem, and I think this might work. So, yeah, that is a very complicated story. Mason, what's next?
All right, looks like we have the iRacing Pro Series, the Road to Pro Series with the B cars now. They were at Atlanta this past week, and I think the bottom split guys were broadcasting the race on Twitch. Um, Tyler Hudson hopped in and said, "Why couldn't you guys be on YouTube?" Sheesh.
Yeah, if you guys haven't watched any of these, these guys are absolutely hilarious. They're a complete riot, and I definitely recommend checking them out. For the bottom split of America, which I happen to drive in quite a bit, and they just rip all of us apart. And they just have a ton of fun doing it. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and now that the NIS is over, they're going to do the Pro Series, and I did watch most of this on this Atlanta race because I wanted to see one of our friends, John Hammer, is involved as a crew chief with one of the drivers in this series, and wanted to see what they were doing and how they were doing. And it was, like you said, very fun to watch. It's not a traditional broadcast because these guys are joking. I mean, they are covering what's going on, but they're having a good time doing it.
I think was it Garrett Lowe who won that race?
Yeah, I do believe so.
It's weird that they just don't create their own YouTube page too for it, like for this bottom split, because the one downside to Twitch is they only keep videos up for so long and then they disappear, whereas YouTube will hold it. You know, you can go back and watch stuff for, you know, from months ago. So it wouldn't take them much to link the same thing at the same, or to have them both being broadcasted on YouTube and Twitch. It's pretty easy.
I have to say, I'm a little surprised that iRacing isn't broadcasting it themselves.
Yep. Yeah, and there was a lot of talk, you know, in the upcoming months before this started about who was going to broadcast it, and there was certainly some chatter about it. But you're right, iRacing never did step up and say this is going to what we're going to do. But these guys are covering it, and it was fun to watch. I definitely encourage people to check it out.
It kind of seems like iRacing is, you know, taking a back seat with this one. They're not really promoting it much.
It's a closed series. It's only 40 people. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It is a little bit weird considering it's a feeder. Okay, Tony Groves, you're next.
Yeah. So the title of this one is Noah Gregson and the Old Bastards. Well, I know Noah Gregson isn't an old bastard, not by any means, but
No.
I guess when you're Noah Gregson, you do get a free pass. So the boys at the Old Bastards Racing League were racing the trucks at Homestead in Miami, and Noah showed up and decided to race with the guys, and I didn't get to see any of that because there's no broadcasting, and didn't even know about it, to be honest with you. But
How
they
cool is
did all
that,
right.
man?
Well, that is absolutely awesome. You know, they posted a picture of the finals, how they all placed. That's what I was looking for, and yeah, a couple of guys were even able to get out in front of Noah and show them the old guys, still have it.
Yeah, it looks like Noah finished fourth, 19 seconds back from the leader. But that is so cool. And so that's twice now. We heard Christopher Bell, who's going for a championship this weekend, using iRacing to get ready. And here's Noah Gregson, who's also going for a championship this weekend. He hooks up with OBRL and, runs trucks at Homestead to help him get ready. And that is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to do it because those guys, they run so hard. As you can tell, like Noah's able to get a fourth place finish out of those guys. Like they're fast, they're clean. Yeah, that should help prepare them for this week.
Okay, I'm going to take this next one. This was a late addition to the script. This came in like an hour or two ago. I think, Mason, you found this. NASCAR actually put out a series of videos that were an interview with Steve Phelps, who's the new president of NASCAR. And one of the videos was specific about esports and iRacing, is what the title. And so he said there's an opportunity exists to create a true esports league. He explains that the console and iRacing together approach, the idea is to reach the most amount of people. And what he's referring to is the NASCAR Heat console game that they're promoting at the tracks to the fans and different things. And then in addition to that, iRacing as well. We've always asked why are they doing that two-prong approach, and he was trying to answer that question in this video by saying, look, I mean, the console approach, you'll just reach more eyeballs. You get more people, the young people who are into that kind of thing, they'll pick it up for the first time and get some interest. And that's kind of his approach, is to get out to the most amount of people. It's a touch point.
And I think they see that just continuing.
Yeah, it's awesome that we got the president talking about that.
I think the president of NASCAR is talking about iRacing and esports. That is huge. You think he has bigger things to do.
He's acknowledging, the fact that there are drivers using it, and gaming is a part of young culture and the younger demographic, and they need that younger demographic.
And we had what was the F1 guys were talking about it the other week.
And you know
Yeah.
you have something really
Yeah,
special
competing
when you
against
have
it was what the
all these
Ferrari
drivers
boss
that are
was saying.
using the development
Another quote here.
in order to
I'll read,
get
in
better at a
racing,
particular
in
sport.
iRacing, it is a
Or
phenomenal
you look at it
product,
from the
Steve Phelps
development
says.
standpoint,
You know
where
it
you
is
have
special when your
dollars
own
and
drivers
you
are
don't have
using
to
it as a
get
development,
a
or you
young
look at it as a
person
tool to get a young
to a
person
car
participating
person
without
that
spending
costs
so much money in a real car
tens of
situation.
thousands of
We have
dollars.
our own leagues in iRacing. We have a series
Participate at a
director now.
relatively low
It gives
dollar amount,
opportunity
you can get
to
better.
put people in the sport like
And
William
then
Byron.
we have our own league that we have for iRacing.
And
which
so
is very
that's
cool. And so
some of the quotes
we
and
have
stuff that
a
he was
series
talking
director
about on
for
that video
champion.
at NASCAR's
And
YouTube
so
page. Check
both
that
leagues
out.
are fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of
in
cool
their
to
own
see
right.
how NASCAR is embracing
But
it,
it's a
whereas
great
F1 was
product
talking
if
about
you're
competing
looking
against it.
for
Yeah, a few
game.
a few years ago, I actually did the Richard Petty driving experience at Memphis, and I'd never really been in a race car before, but I had been sim driving for a long time, and I mean, it wasn't terribly hot that day, but other than actually feeling the G forces, once I really got into driving, it all really basically felt the same as if I was still sitting in my living room. I had gotten so accustomed to how a stock car handles.
Yeah. All right, let's do a couple housekeeping stories before we jump into hardware software. We got a bunch. Uh, David, you went and met teammate Chris and Samantha the other day. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my family lives over on the other side of Arkansas. It was my niece's birthday, but me and my brother actually got to go up to a local restaurant slash bar, and he watched the Ole Miss game while me and Chris and his wife got to meet. It was a nice experience. I've gotten to meet several of my online racing friends before. In fact, that's how I get to go see the Martinsville races as well.
Well, that's pretty cool. I've met a couple iRacers in real life here in the Phoenix area, but it's very rare to do that. Usually you don't ever meet your teammates. Kind of odd.
Well, there's some funny coincidences since I've hopped on here on the team. Um, Chris is one of the only Arkansas people I know that do iRacing, and I'm sure some others will probably shout out to me, but it's just not as popular around here. And then we actually have, this is kind of crazy, but on this team we have two band directors.
Yeah, two band directors, and we have two cops. And then we got a bunch of truck drivers too. Okay. Next is here at Tifosi Racing, we still have positions open for social media manager and league manager. Setup specialist skills are a major bonus. Greg, tell us what we're looking for here.
We're looking for anybody that's gonna, that is really active on Twitter that could help us out on our account because Will used to do that, and obviously he's stepped away for a little while here. And a lot of us, I don't have time to follow the account a lot, and we were really trying to get into the social aspect or media aspect of it with Twitter, and we've been really updating our Tifosi page recently, and we just want to add somebody that's really knows what they're doing that can follow and use a certain skill because there's a skill to using Twitter and getting stuff out and using the Facebook pages and all that stuff. So we're just looking for that league manager. We want to have our own league, but there's a lot of us just don't have enough time either as well. So we're looking for that someone to run that. And then, like Mike said, if anybody has set up specialist skills like setting up and helping with the team and doing testing and stuff is a bonus. So anybody out there that's interested, we really could use you.
Yeah, you could just message us at Facebook, on Facebook at Tifosi Racing or Twitter, either way. All right, and the next is we continue to tell the story about Scott Kolovec from KMA Racing or Kiss My Ass Racing. They run a great league over there. He had a open heart surgery and he still is having a GoFundMe page. They're having that benefit race coming up soon. If you guys want to get involved and help Scott, get involved in that race. It's going to be December 1st. And so that's coming up. Go to the Facebook page, search KMA Racing. Also, Chris Hogue over there also had a stroke and he's needing prayers. I do not have an update on Chris. I hope he's doing well. All right, let's jump to hardware software. Mason, you got the first one.
Yeah, it looks like we got an Instagram post from Hybrid Racing Simulations of their new wheel. It's a Momo wheel. It's kind of like a 3/4 U-shaped wheel with all sorts of buttons. Looks like it has an LED light bar on there. And they're their prototypes. A picture of their prototypes. So they're making a new wheel.
Wow, that looks nice. I mean, it looks like a proper wheel. You would need know it's a sim wheel.
Looks like it's got dual clutch. I want to know if I see the light bar. I wonder if that dash has anything you can put in it, like any telemetry stuff or whatever's going to be on that dash.
Yeah. Now, if you go to their website, which is hrsims.com, you'll see other wheels that they've done in the past that are kind of similar, and in fact, it does have a little track map on the little dash on the one on their front page. So maybe it does have a display.
Yeah, I just brought that up. That looks really cool.
Now, these guys are out of Australia, so but I follow them on the Instagram because they have some, like you can see here, some amazing products. And of course, there's no price. It is just a prototype, but boy, it does look sweet.
Yeah, looks like quality workmanship there.
All right, Tony Groves, and another Black Friday deal.
Yeah, another Black Friday deal, put on by Samsung for their Odyssey Plus. Looks like they got it advertised for $300.
$300.
Is that a good deal? Because I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So sorry to all you Canadians. It's probably like $17 million, but everybody south of the border, that's a damn good deal.
I think it is. I'm trying to find the regular price now. You have to go to Samsung.com.
500.
500. Okay, so that's 200 off. That's pretty good.
And deal begins on the 18th.
And yeah, unrelated, Samsung also has some great deals on some Galaxy phones. If you're into Android phones, there's some really good prices there. But yeah, that Odyssey Plus, man, $299.99, 40% off. Now it starts on the 18th. If you're interested um, in goggles, that's one of them to get right now. All right, David Hall, what's next?
We have an AccuForce Black Friday deal. They're dropping their AccuForce Pro Complete down to $999, and the Your Way model is down to $699, and it does not require a promo code. I can't really get to the actual site. The link, when I go to the link, it's telling me that it's members only, so can't really get a good look at the pictures.
Holy cow! I've been drooling over this all week, guys. Everyone I talk to, I'm just like, man, you know about this sale? And if I didn't have some credit card debt because of my new computer, I would have bought this already. I've been always had my eye on this particular wheel, and for it to go below $1,000, I mean, that's a trigger point for me. Now, why? Speculation on the forums is maybe there's a V3 coming out, like a new version, and so maybe that's why they lowered the price to, and it did say while supplies last, and so maybe that's another clue that, and it has been a long time since they've released this product. They might be due for another version.
So they've
But
reduced.
I'm in the market.
Go ahead.
I'm in the market for a new wheel pretty soon, and so what could you say that puts this over, say, the Fanatec direct drive?
You should
Well-
read that article that who was it that wrote that one that was at the event for
Brian.
Fanatec, Brian.
Yeah, there's a review a few months ago, where a comparison between this one, the DD1 and DD2, the new Fanatec ones, and the other, like SimCube and the other direct drive wheels. And the comparisons are fairly equal. would be the answer between the various products as far as, torque and different specs and that kind of thing. So it all comes down to really preference and software and that kind of thing. I think the one thing about this product is it comes with the Sim Vibe software, which is what makes the force feedback work. But Sim Vibe software also works for butt kickers if you want to do a butt kicker and that kind of thing. And so that's something that you could make a dual purpose of. And then the wheel itself that actually comes with it in the $1,000 package, it's a round NASCAR style wheel that kind of mimics the look of a Max Pappas wheel. It's got buttons and paddles for shifting. It's got several nice buttons that are built in right in the wheel, and that's another thing I like too.
The one difference else, David, too, you get only the one type of wheel that you get with the AccuForces, whereas Fanatec always has their whole library of wheels that you can rims that you can add to it. That's the difference with the direct drive's got all the possibilities of all their rims and stuff to add to it. The AccuForce is pretty limited unless you go to the custom market where people have made stuff for it.
There's adapters where you can put a Fanatec on or a Max Pappas on this. There definitely are adapters available. So I don't think that's a big deal because of the adapter, but personally, I wouldn't buy more than one rim. I would be okay with just this rim. I wouldn't want to change it.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards getting the Porsche rim because it's round enough to work for both stock cars and sports cars for me.
Yeah, I'm just drooling. I mean, I can't. I would just love to buy this. I think it's a great wheel. I love it. It's a lower profile. It's not as tall as some of the other direct driver wheels. Um, and then the software is a major perk, I think, because of the software that is made to go with it. It really becomes a plug and play kind of thing, which is important to me. The other thing is for Black Friday, that company, Sim Experience, and you can find this at simexperience.com. There's no E in the word experience. And if you go there, you'll see their Black Friday pricing that we already mentioned for the wheel, but they also have their motion simulators, which we talked about last week, $200 off regular pricing for any of the motion sims as well.
Lots of Black Friday deals.
And then the butt kickers are also on sale from them at $75 each, which are $20 off. Yeah, I was drooling. Boy, I'm so tempted. Now, the good thing they said is there's no code needed. This is a permanent decrease to pricing, is the way I read it.
So that's why why people are speculating there might be another software coming or wheel.
Yeah, that's part of it. And then somebody in the forum post, Darren Ganji, works for this company. And so Darren is the spokesman in the forums for this company. And somebody asked him in the forums, hey, because it's limited quantities and whatnot, and the price is permanent, does this mean we have version 3 coming? And he answered like all these other, then so Darren Ganji answered a bunch of people's questions, but he specifically did not answer that one. But he answered every other question that was presented to him. But I mean, he kind of gave the whole no comment, is the way I read it. He didn't say one way or the other, so. Okay, Greg, you're next. Main performance.
So it looks like Main Performance is having a Ubato clearance sale for 35% off till through November 30th. So they're I guess they're one of the distributors for Ubato products in the United States. And they're actually ending the Ubato products in the United States. So they're clearing it out. And so I guess you gotta go at what's their website? Is it mainperformancepcs.com?
Yep.
And I just looked on there for getting a cockpit, and they're out of the actual cockpit. They're selling the accessories.
Yeah, so they're no longer with Obuto. So That means, guys, you don't know how have a way to buy an Obuto that I know of. That was the only source that I knew of to buy one.
Where are they made at
So
the
they're
Abato? Is it
somewhere in Europe. I
okay?
don't know. But yeah, I mean, I have an Obuto and I've been happy with it. I didn't like the triple monitor mount, but the actual cockpit, uh, it's been great, you know, and the way it matched up with the sim pedals that Main Performance PC sold me, and the way they're mounted to it, and you know, there's a place for the keyboard and the steering wheel and everything. It's been a great cockpit, and it's kind of, you know, bittersweet to see Obuto's no longer going to be available in the United States, as far as I can see. Okay, Mason, you're next. Bluetooth.
Yeah, so the company Sim Ability, they have a load cell prototype for
So you
their
really
steering
only
wheel
need one
adaptive
hand for the
controls.
brake.
So what
Now,
they
when
do
you
is they
accelerate,
put
a lot of times if you're in a
a
hairpin,
bar
a really
and
tight
all
hairpin,
the
you
set
have
the
to
hardware that you
operate
need
that throttle
to have a
with
gas and a brake
many different degrees
on
of
your steering
rotation.
wheel if you
So what we're
wouldn't be able
doing
to use
now
pedals.
with this hybrid system,
And they got a
we
new
have a single
prototype
brake
out with the
pedal
GT
that
style
operates on a lever.
ring hand
Instead of a
control unit
complex
behind it.
mechanism, we just have a simple
Yep,
brake lever.
it's pretty
a
cool. I
pedal
mean,
for the brake,
Sim Ability
and
has had this
we've
wheel
limited
for a
our
while, but what they
complex
did is they
unit,
added
the
this
ring unit,
Bluetooth to
to
it,
the
so
throttle.
it eliminates
So
the problem
we
with
can
the
have
cabling
ring throttle
and all
and
that
a simple
crap.
paddle
And
for the brake.
when the wheel spins
Also,
and the
going
cable
with a
gets
single
caught up,
lever
and
paddle
so
for the
he's
brake
got it
makes the
you know,
load
working
cell a
with
little more
Bluetooth, which is
practical.
pretty cool.
Putting a load cell on a ring system where
Yeah,
you have
that's
a
neat
lot
and
of moving
interesting to see
parts,
what if there's any
means that
lag
everything
time.
needs to be strengthened and beefed up,
Well,
and
it is a
that
prototype.
increases the
He said
weight and the cost.
I watched the video or most of it.
So
He
that
said his
is
son, who is
the primary
disabled,
reason we're looking at the
uh,
hybrid system.
has already been
So let me
using
go
it,
ahead
and it's
and
been a
pick this
success.
apart and go into a little more detail. One thing I want to reiterate is that
So cool. I mean, if you're into that and you need those kind of products, and you probably already know about that company, but they are going to have some Bluetooth capability coming soon. All right, Tony, my favorite motion seat, the GS5, we got a review.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm certainly not prepared for this one. It is a very in-depth and lengthy review.
Quite some eye candy, though, to look at.
Oh, yeah, and I was actually kind of getting a little bit lost here in the pictures because there's a lot to look at, and it is very, very pretty. Even so
Yes.
much that I had to scroll right to the top. So this comes from Richard McNaughton, and he's a GS4 owner, and he was giving his review on the GS5, and I mean, all you really got to do is look at the first picture. He's got a side by side of both rigs, and just from a visual of a 2D picture, you could tell that they have completely stepped it up. Everything looks beefier, bigger, more comfortable, definitely flashier.
Yeah.
Um,
The
and
style, too.
yeah, and he pretty much goes throughout, like if you go through the pictures and stuff, and he pretty much shows exactly what I just said. Everything's bigger, beefier, nicer, more comfortable. Um, but and bottom line is what he said. He said with the GS5, they've just absolutely hit it out of the park.
Yeah, he had a very good review. The pictures are telling. I mean, the high-res pictures of the seat. He takes the thing apart and literally shows you all the different pieces and how it's designed. And I mean, he does a very thorough job on this review. I like the picture where he took the padding off of the seat, and you can see the little hydraulic flap mechanisms that are underneath the thing that are actually doing all the work. And you got to look at that picture and imagine those things flapping like wings, like a bird wing, flapping against your back and your butt and your thighs and pushing against you as you go around the corner. And it kind of simulates a G-force. And one thing he said about the seat is the way that the seat is different from a traditional motion cockpit is when you go around a corner in a traditional motion cockpit, it'll shift your butt a little bit when you first initially go around the corner. But if you continue to turn around that corner, it doesn't provide any more feedback besides that initial bump your butt to the right or left. Well, with this thing, with this seat, it does provide a constant pressure. That those little pads or those little flaps are going to be pushing against your back and thigh as you complete the entire corner, and only when you get on the straightaway will it release the pressure off of you.
That's pretty wild.
I'm so jealous.
And you wear seat belts real tight to push you into the seat so those you can feel it even more. He said it's really important to wear the belts.
Yeah, so it's got those flaps, and it looks like 4 of them, 2 on the seat part, and then 2 on the backrest, and then it's also moving you with the other actuators as well.
Yeah, he's got this motion seat attached to a regular motion rig, so he's got everything.
Yeah, I can see why you definitely want to have seat belts, maybe even a helmet.
Might throw you right out if you had it turned up too much. That was the other thing he mentioned too, was it's real easy to turn everything up too high, and he ended up turning stuff down to a low level, and that was enough to do the trick to your mind about what you're, and that's all you're trying to do is trick your mind into feeling these clues, these physical clues of when you hit the rumble strips or you go over a bump or you feel the traction of the rear car or the rear tires giving out and you're about to spin out. You can feel that in your butt, and that's what this does.
Well, it's interesting because he's the second person we've had that said that he had to turn everything down.
Yep. Well, yeah. So if you're interested in GS5, you definitely need to find this post to search GS5 review in the forums with a dash between GS and 5. Okay, who's next? David Hall. Rig review.
All right. It looks like Donald Sadesky presented his, looks like a handmade rig. It's got a Fanatec wheel on here. I can't see the pedals very well, but they're probably inverted pedals. He's got triples as well as a fourth monitor up on the top, probably for widgets and stuff. Pretty fancy looking rig. I don't think it has motion on it, but it's definitely something for the man cave.
Well, what's really cool about this rig is it looks like it's a converted old arcade racer
Right.
rig, and yeah, the guy's done a really nice job. Uh, I kind of like this one over the fancy schmancy G5, just because it's got that retro look to it, and I'm kind of a geek for those old school.
What do you call that stainless steel metal
plating.
stuff? Diamond plating. Like you see on a big truck or on an ambulance or a fire truck. He's got that everywhere, and that's what makes it really look sharp to me.
It's funny that
He has fans on there as well.
the rig is more complete than the basement is.
Well, this ain't the first time we've talked about Donald Sadusky's rig on this podcast. I think we covered this a couple years ago. This is a recent update. I can't tell. I don't remember what it was different from it 2 years ago, but it does look good, Don. I mean, the dash. Take a look at the dash and what he's done there, guys. If you can zoom in on that, it's just amazing what the work he's put in.
Well, it looks like he's got 3 separate button boxes, as well as he's got a tablet on the side, kind of mounted to some of that diamond plating.
Yeah, it's like permanently mounted, and that's what makes it look so cool too. And then look at his microphone. He's got like an old-fashioned RCA 44 old-style radio microphone with a angle boom, just reaching out there.
Hey, Tony, does that wheel look familiar to you?
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. That it's a G29 wheel, and it just polishes this thing off just perfect. I love it.
He spent the money on the Fanatec shifter, and then he must obviously like the driving force wheel.
Well, he's got some nice GTX card in there, it looks like. Computer's on the outside of the rig.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see that. But and then even that metal, the diamond plate, even on the backs of the monitors. I mean, just for a look, I guess. Or maybe that's what it's mounted to. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it looks like it's just to cover up the wiring and just keep everything looking clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice detail for sure.
All right, cool. Let's nice, Sadusky.
That's nuts.
Next up is David Hall, new Thrustmaster headset.
Well, I just went on the last one, but here we go, I guess.
You want me to take it?
Were you the last one? I'm sorry. Greg, you're next.
So Thrustmaster looks like they've released a new headset here. First link I opened up, so I'm just seeing here it's still open. Ferrari-based headset. They got a Ferrari livery on it at least. I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with any of the old Thrustmaster headsets. I've never purchased one or anything from them, but looks kind of. It reminds me of just a base, like ones that the pit boxes are wearing, like a crew chief would wear.
Yeah. Yep, it's got a mic boom. It's got the Ferrari red. It's got the Ferrari logo on it. It looks like a nice little headset. A simple. Like you said, it looks like something a crew chief would wear. In a Formula One race.
It's actually, I think it actually probably is designed after it. If I look at it, just looking at it reminds me of what the actual Ferrari bosses and them wear.
Yeah, it's not USB. It's just got an 1/8 headphone jack. So pretty straightforward and simple. I don't see a price, but you can see it at thrustmaster.com. It is on their website.
It's probably pretty basic because it's not very high tech Dolby Digital or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I think you almost have to have a USB to have those kind of features and stuff. Okay, we got another rig review. Mason.
Yeah, SimPit Technologies posted up a picture of their Avenger Pro setup for the F1 car. It looks like it is kind of a curved, almost projection-like screen. I'm not 100% sure, but it says 202 degrees around you. They got all the fancy pedals down there, the expensive ones. I can't quite tell what kind, but they got nice, just big screen to look at.
Well, I think that's why they call it the Avenger Pro, because that screen is like the Hulk of frickin' screens. It's huge.
Do you see that dash though? I want to know what they've done with that dash. What it all is.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks almost like pure digital.
Except for the
reminds
analog.
me of Star Trek, and you're in a Star Trek hull, and you're up there in the captain's deck, and they have all the electronics behind them. It kind of looks like that.
See the big red button there? Is that for the self-destruct mode?
Big old kill button for the direct drive.
And then there's the old analog tack.
But let's describe that screen a little bit. Look above the screen, and you'll see two projectors. So this is a two-projector system, one for the left side, one for the right. And this screen is a half-circle screen. Okay, it's probably like 4 feet tall and maybe, I don't know, 8 feet long. And it's kind of laid out in a half circle and with no seams. And so it's amazing that they can make this work with two projectors. I wonder what kind of video hardware they're using to take the image and chop it up in a way to make this work.
It says it offers 202 degrees of simultaneous view, and same as other systems, work with stereoscopic 3D and head tracking.
Wow.
You mentioned moving the screens across two monitors. When I just had, before I got my Rift, I could actually just drag the size of the window across the monitors. So I kind of had a single monitor with a little bit of extra space and could see my driver's side window.
Yeah, if you look at their website with the pictures of it, They have a pretty cool picture of like a spaceship, and the whole setup there is just insane too. But it's 3,450 New Zealand dollars. I'm assuming that is, which translates to about 2,300 US dollars.
Yep. And that's just the screen, right? That's just the screen part.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that includes the projectors.
Yeah, I think it's just that screen set up with the stand that it's on.
Yeah, that screen setup is awesome. If you guys want something unique, check that out, man. Avenger 202.
That's how you game.
That's serious, huh?
There's a pretty wicked video of Elite Dangerous on there.
All right, Tony, you're next. Cimatec.
Yeah, so this looks like to be the last cockpit on our list for the day, and we're kind of taking a step back. We've been looking at fancy schmancy ones, and this one is a little bit more, we'll call it relaxed. It's a little simpler. Um, there's actually not a whole lot of fancy to this one, except it looks pretty solid, and as well as you've got options to mount just about anything you want to, any type of wheel, shifter seat. So it gives you a lot of options to play around with there. But this one looks like it's only available within the European Union.
Yep.
But if you are in the European Union, it looks to be pretty reasonably priced at 264 euros.
Looks like they're it's like another competitor for like the sim cockpits, their basic ones.
Yeah, this is a stationary cockpit. It's a place to mount a seat, a wheel, and pedals. And it gives you just that. And it's a real small footprint, too.
Well, who made that the wooden one? Was that, I can't remember the company that made that.
Yeah, there's a lot of these out there.
They got I like the way they show beside the side by side with the car, with getting the right angle, the way the car sits too, like how they've got it's sitting right next to the Audi.
Right.
Same driving position and everything.
So, yeah, if you're in Europe, check it out. The website is Simetik. Well, I don't know if that's the website, but that's what you would search. It's Cimatic.
Yeah, the actual website is cimatic-cockpits.myshopify.com is where you'll find it.
You need to get them a URL or something.
Okay, I just looked at some of the best accessory. You can get your name stickers on the side of it.
Nice. Maybe I just want to order a sticker for the sticker. That is cool. It even puts your nationality flag next on the sticker too, and you get one with your number as well. All right, who's next? FPS.
Yeah, I got this one. The question might be, is the FPS versus monitor refresh rate, is it better to have basically, what is it, frame lock on or not?
Sorry for the commercial.
Or is it better to have better than 60 FPS when your monitor is only 60 hertz? And basically the answer is yes, because your computer will send signals faster so that the monitor doesn't fluctuate when rendering. There's actually a link to a YouTube video on here, and I glanced through it. It's basically showing a bunch of different examples in various games of how it behaves differently if you have the refresh lock on or not.
Maximum refresh rate, say.
Yeah, and it goes into a detailed explanation too, if you really want to understand how this works. It's a little bit over my head. I don't even want to try to describe it, to tell you the truth. But they talk about where the frame goes from the GPU into a buffer, and then it goes to the display, and the timing of that. Does it go in and does it wait until it needs to display, like it can go in ahead of time, or does it render it the moment it's available, which can result in what's called tearing, where there's a tear in the screen, where you're seeing the old frame on the bottom and a newer frame on the top. And so it talks about all this different stuff. And so, yeah, like you said, the short answer is if you can run more frames per second, it is better visually. And so we were talking about that this week with my new GPU. I actually have had it on limiting for 84 frames a second. Well, in one of my practices, I decided to turn it off. And when I did, it jumped to 364 frames a second. And that's with all the graphics and bells and whistles turned on. And I think Tony was telling me, hey, why don't you turn everything off and see what kind of frames per second you can do? And I haven't tried that yet, but I might.
Yeah, I got a new computer as well and have the GTX 1070 Ti, and I was very curious about this specific question, and I too had it on locked at 84 frames per second, but now it looks like I'm gonna unlock it.
Well, my question is, when we do that and we let it just go crazy, are you like burning up the GPU? Are you getting it hotter than it needs to run and those kind of concerns? Or
Right. Even if I would say if you just bump it up higher than whatever your hertz on your monitor is, that would be beneficial.
Well, Mike, don't you track your temperature? Have you compared the difference when you turn off the V-lock?
yeah, I did, and I do track it. It's sitting right now at 60 because we're not running the sim. It'll go up to 68 or 70 during sim when I run the sim, but no, it didn't fluctuate at all.
I
That might
honestly,
be the answer to your question. You're not working it harder.
I don't think it's working harder either because all you're doing is just stopping it from going to a certain spot.
And then visually, I couldn't tell the difference between locking it to 84 and not locking it. I couldn't tell the difference.
It's because the human eye can only see 60 frames per second.
Or I think it actually is less than that, but
TV is 30 frames per second.
right, I think the human eye is 24, if I remember right, or something like that. But yeah,
Cartoons are 15.
well, there you go. All right, Greg, you're next. DSD AccuForce wheel panel set.
So Derek Spears' design is, I guess they're making a AccuForce panel or a panel for the AccuForce uh, wheelbases, and pretty sharp look. So they're basing this. Their new ones here is kind of just like the way they have the one for the Fanatec one that sits in behind and mounts to the actual wheel base. So you got it, right at fingers, or fingertips right behind the wheel. It's a really nice. They're really nice designs for this. Got all the buttons. You got switches. You got different types you can pick from for the panels too as well, which is really makes it good for the choice for the people that use the AccuForce. Um, Now I've been looking at Derek Spears designed ones for my Fanatic, and I'm gonna quickly show the wife a picture of it for Christmas time for the Fanatec version of this.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, I love the idea that you can mount these on either side of your wheel and they're right there. The only drawback is I probably only want one on one side, not the other. I don't know if you could buy them separately, but it would actually block my fourth monitor where I have my Joe real timing if I had it on the right side. But maybe I would have to rearrange or something. But they do show an AccuForce version 2 wheel with these mounted on it on the website at DerekSpearsDesigns.com. And man, it looks good. It gives you if you put it on both sides, it's like having a dash. It's like building a dash for yourself.
I think you can only buy one side if you want, Mike, because they have different types of designs if you go to their website for everything.
Okay. And yeah, I don't know if I need both of them, but all right, let's keep moving. In the interest of time, we're going to skip to results here. Let's finish off Phoenix. David Hall, Thursday fixed. You ran and got a P25. Lost track position early.
My wheel came off my desk.
Ooh, did you rip it off?
And I felt it coming off and immediately kind of recovered and tightened it up, but I had to pull off the track and fell to the back of the field when I qualified very far forward. I don't remember where. I was just kind of climbing up through the track position, and I had some guy just decide to take me out, racing too hard too early.
Oh, okay. And then Friday Open, Tony Rochette got a P12, was running 6 towards the end of the race, lost connection. again and finished 4 laps down, but he had a top 5 car. Tony, you got to get that fixed, that internet. Brent McCoy, P1. He qualified P2. Black flag on lap 78 for passing under the yellow in the top 10. He went a lap down, coming out right behind leaders. Followed directly behind leaders until the cautions came out. Lucky Dog restarted P6, took over the lead with right side tires on lap 131 and held it. 2 tires for the win. So good job, Brent. And then Saturday fixed open. Tony Rochette got a P10, kept the clean car all race, stayed the top 10. Went 4 wide on the final restart with 2 to go. There was decent clean racing the second half. And then Sunday Open, we had a bunch of you guys run. Tony, you got a P9. You put worst race ever.
Oh yeah, absolute shit show. In fact, I've been fairly decent finish, but the racing sucked. I ended up getting put a lap down a bunch of times, and I raced from the back to close to the front. I think I was like in P5 a couple times during that race, and yeah, it was just terrible. There was guys just wrecking. One in particular, he was just an absolute weapon out there, wrecking a bunch of people. It was a horrible race.
Yeah, and then Tony Rochette was with you with David Flowers, and they got caught up in a wreck from a particular driver who's been wrecking Tifosi drivers all week, is what he wrote.
Yeah, all 3 of us were in that same wreck. And I think I was the one that was able to get out of that with the least amount of damage.
All right. And then, Mason, tell us about your run as well as Brent's.
Well, I had a good setup. I qualified P1, and Brent P2, or no, Greg P2 starting, and Brent started P4. So I led the first 30 laps or so because they were literally, we restart caution. And I finally decided it was time to pit because Brent was behind me and he duped me into going down pit road, which then put me in the back. Got in an accident trying to go 3 wide into turn 3. Then just kept trying to repair that. Had 3 minutes optional. Repaired most of it. And I finally got back on the lead lap with 20 to go and came from 28th to finish 16th. But Brent got the win, P1, at the end of the race.
Wow,
so that
that's
was
2.
a good race.
That's 2 wins, right?
Yeah, and the other thing that sucked at the start of that race is for some reason I had a CPU usage problem, so I went into the pits on the first caution to go to the back of the pack because I was blinking in front of everybody, and I couldn't figure out why until I started shutting some stuff down for the CPU issue problem. So I had to work my way from the back of the pack there, while Mason and Brent were at the front. And I think I went to the back 4 or 5 different times in that race just because of wrecks and damage, and I battled back for a 7th place finish.
All right. And then Sunday night, I got a P11. I don't really remember exactly what happened in that race, but a P11 sounds like a good race to me. I had just rushed home from Phoenix International Raceway, where I was out there for the weekend for the Xfinity and the Cup race, and we camped in the desert, and I slept in a tent, and it was a lot of fun. So really enjoyed NASCAR over the weekend. Mason, you got a P22.
Yeah, that wasn't a fun race. I hit everything but the pace car. And if I could have hit it, I would have. I was coming back for a good top 10, but then got caught up in a wreck on the front stretch. So, P22.
All right. And then, David, you got P11.
Yeah, I just managed to dodge all the wrecks. It was a wreck fest, and I just lucky enough to get around them all that time.
All right. Let's move on to Homestead. Wednesday yesterday, I wrecked out, and I took some people with me, and I didn't even know who they were. I should have taken time to apologize. I was livid. my wife walked into my room here where I race and interrupted me, and that's to say it nicely. But she interrupted me enough where I was going down the backstretch and I turned left into some guy and caused a wreck of about 3 or 4 cars. And my day was done after that, and I was just not happy. So that happens. It's happened a few times in my iRacing career. Knock on wood. That's only it's only been a couple times, but it is irritating. I tell you what. Tony, you got a P6 after being 7 laps down. Not you, Tony. I meant Tony Rochette. He was 7 laps down at one point and made it back to the lead lap. Now, does that tell you how many cautions there are in the bottom split of NIS? He got all 7 back and ended up P6. So great run, Tony. He's always good about just staying in it and getting his laps back, and he always seems to lose them early for some reason. But let's move on to last night. Now this is a full distance race, so it has been a long one, especially to run both of them in the same day. I got a P7, good run. I ran as high as second, got shuffled back a few times, but always came back up through there. And that's what I was really impressed with myself about. I was able to start in the back and work my way up within 20, 30 laps. Now, in the race with me was Nim Cross, who is our chief steward in iRacing. He was actually racing in the race with us. And at one point, towards the end of the race, a guy up front got booted and wrecked out, and he started to complain. And the moment he said one single cuss word, I see at the top, Nim Cross has removed so-and-so from the server. And he got booted by Nim Cross, who was a driver in that race.
That's
And
awesome that he has
Yeah.
that he could just do it while he's on trying to race.
yeah, we're under yellow, and we're just rolling around, and he just boots him like it's a hosted race. And so that's the first time I've been in an official race where somebody gets booted. That does not happen unless you have a iRacing, official in there, I guess. And so everyone was on their P's and Q's. I think everyone was aware that he was in there, and we were all careful to race and be respectful and not cuss. But one guy apparently didn't get the message.
It's good to see that it's possible though, like where if there's this, talks about live admins and stuff. Maybe it might be the way to go for these races.
I think logistically that's impossible. But for him to come in and run the race with us and see how it goes and see who is the problem and that kind of thing, I thought it was nice. I think it's good to have iRacing involved. All right, let's keep moving. David Hall, you got DNF. You got totally caught up. I saw it in front of me. You were in the same event as me, and you couldn't miss it.
He ended up leaving. He had to go.
Oh, he left. Yeah, he had bad luck as usual. And then today, Thursday Open, Chris Scales says P14. Didn't qualify, ran in the back, raced the next 75, running fourth, lapped car, newer tires, lost it off 4, overcorrected, came up into him. And then David Hall wrecked from the lead with 20 to go under pressure when he was squeezed by a lap car. Yikes. But he was in the lead there. Jump into final thoughts. We're running late. Mason Stiver.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of liking Homestead. I didn't think I was going to, but I like the Cup Car at Homestead, so I'm excited. I got my new Fanatec Club Sport V 2.5 wheel, so I'm trying that out and having a blast.
Boy, new computer, new wheel. I mean, you're going for it.
Yep, credit card's hurting.
Yeah, mine too. Like I said before, if I was not in recovery on my credit card, I'd be buying a wheel myself. All right, Tony Groves, final thought.
Yeah, well, on the computer topic there, I've been kind of having issues with mine since I switched to the bigger graphics card, and turns out my cooling sucked. So I've done some upgrading, and I'm just waiting for them to show up. Should be tomorrow, so I should be able to install them and get ready for tomorrow night's race. I plan on battling the bottom split tomorrow night.
Full distance. All right. Greg Hectus, final thought.
I'm just excited for this week's race. I'm hopefully get tomorrow night's in. I haven't been around much. I only get one race a week now with work, right? Just getting used to my new job. I was just gonna ask the community if I've been still researching it, but if there's anyone out there that could help me. I'm having problems with CPU usage issues where the bar goes all the way to the red on the CPU part, and it shouldn't be. I'm running a Ryzen 2700, one of the better CPUs that I can run, and I got a decent graphics card. Nothing's changed. It's just some stuff's going crazy for me when I'm racing, and it happens just for a couple moments, and then it can either ruin my race or I can luckily survive it. But sometimes it's caught me where I've gone around the track and not completed a lap because it didn't track me. So if there's anybody out there that can turn me to an article that shows me if there's something I can do to rectify it. But my PC should be powerful enough not to have any of these problems.
Start turning stuff off. I mean, antivirus especially. Anything that you see running in the little taskbar that doesn't need to be running, stop it. That's what I would say. Something else on your computer's turning on and running, and that's what's causing the problem. And so you got to figure out what that is and stop it.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, good luck. That's a tough thing to find. All right, my final thoughts is wow, our listeners have gone up. We surpassed 10,000 downloads within the last 90 days. It's a number that podcasters look at. They look at how many downloads you have in 90 days, and we're right at 10 grand. We've been at 10 grand before. It went down quite a bit to 8,600, and it does fluctuate, but it's going up again, and so we appreciate OBRL who's helped us get to that number. I think a lot of their involvement in their social media exposure has helped us get some more listeners. And, we're looking at our listeners to share the podcast, get it out there, guys, and tell your other iRacers about it so we can grow. And we do appreciate that. And with that, we'll see you later.
User in your channel stopped recording.
Okay, clear. Title idea.